So, as you're probably going to find as we go through these courses, these modules, sorry, the use of surfacing is a really interesting one. There is instances where surfacing is far more superior and quicker to use than what it is in your conventional solid modelling. I do hear a lot, I've heard a lot over the years of people saying, yeah, but I could do that so much quicker in solids. That's fine, that's really great, really pleased for you. However, it's not true. In a lot of instances it can be a bigger benefit. Now what I thought I'd do today is go through something like that. One of the biggest ones is body armour. I've just gone on the internet, I'll show you the pages in just a second. I've just gone on the internet and just looked at some standard motorcycle body armour, and let me just see if I can open this up, 1 second. There it comes. Right, so this is some snowboarding body armour. It's very cool. So that's the typical body armour. Now, well, if you think about it, this plate here, and this plate here, and this plate here, there's very much an unknown. If you had to draw that, there is so many variables there. It's crazy. Drawing something, just the plates themselves, out of a solid, please, if somebody has the skill to do that from scratch, as quick as you can in surfacing, I would love to see it because it's such a tricky task. Right, so what I'm going to do is take you through the typical process, how I do it. First things first, I've actually downloaded a torso. Now this is just something I take from GrabCAD just to give me an idea of what I was told, just to give you an idea of what you can do. Now, typically in these types of things, there will be, sorry, big stretch. There will be a dummy for people to operate around. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take detailed profiles. We're going to extract the detailed profiles from this. Then we're going to remove it just to leave us with the single plate system. Right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to a new part. As I come into a new part, I'm going to go to Insert, Part. Now the beauty is I've already got my trunk open. So I'm going to click on Trunk, and then click OK. Now don't forget, there's bits of this, I didn't do this model, so there's bits of this where you look and go, where the hell has that come from? So it doesn't matter anyhow, because what we're actually interested in is the pectoral area and the abdomen. So we're going to aim for these 4 parts here to recreate these. It's a nice example for us just because it's nice, it's quick, it's easy, and when you see how it's done you kind of think, wow, it must be more difficult. Believe me, it is not. So, but again, a real benefit of surfaces. So I'm going to go on to my front plane and I'm going to go sketch. Control and 8, anybody who doesn't know, it's a shortcut and it's an absolute lifesaver. It's fantastic. Right, so what I'm going to do is going to look at how this is laid out. You look here, they're the collarbones. We're going to presume them to be the collarbones. We know we've got an axis here. We're going to come round here and round that, and we're literally going to sketch this as flat as we can. Well, we're going to sketch this in a 2D sketch. So I'm going to go from collarbone to collarbone, bring that down to around here. What you'll notice is by me doing this, I can actually revert back. If we come past it and we go, not exactly what we're looking for, we can change that. This puts us into such a great position. So I'm going to bring this down and roughly get it like this. Granted, in this case, perhaps what I could do, not what I could, what I think I will do, is I'm going to model this. I'm going to model this in symmetry. Apologies, I was just concentrating then. So I'm just going to bring this round. Just going to see there. Okay, it gives us a rough overview, and we can start to modify, because you know what it's like. You'll get through it and go, not exactly what I'm looking for, and then we're gonna modify this to make it suit what we're after. So first things first, I'm looking at this point. This point, just because if you look at the original, the profile, it comes through here and then to here. So again, we're recreating what has already been done here. So, apologies, 1 second. Right, so, what I'm seeing here is, look at these edging. See, more of a 3-point arc, more line to 3-point arc. So I'm going to just revert that. So what I'm perhaps going to do is bring these back, something like that, and I'm going to bring that back. Bring and get that back, and then that back. I'm going to take a different approach now. Again, I'm just trying to recreate that profile. Now the interesting thing is often people will see curves between it and then go, it must be curved. However, if you look again, if we zoom into that image, got linear, and we're actually looking at a lot more of profile slightly. So granted, this area here could be 3-point arc, but we're interested for body armor. So let's just get this shape and then modify to suit. So then when you start to put it on, you look and go, okay, yeah, I see the point. Yeah, that's looking good. So now what I'll do is bring in a center line. Just bringing a construction line in, apologies. This is purely because we need this point of symmetry. And then I'm going to trim this back to just give us that symmetry that needs to be there. So I'm going to mirror my entities and then just select all. Take that to there. And okay, it's a start. It's a start. Again, this is just a singleized profile. So, and then here, we're looking at typical slot type shape. So you see a slot tool. This slot tool will allow us to do that particular thing that we want to do. So I'll start with a straight slot. And I know a lot will sit there and go, straight slot? What the hell are you doing? I know, right? It's just crazy. So I'll bring this in and I'll go about there. I think my slot here is perhaps too big. But we can change that. We can change that because, in essence, where we're at is in control of what's going on. So now what I've got is an overall profile. Again, I can change that. I would really want to change that. But what we're really wanting to do is to just create this a little bit more. Now you look there. That's a bit irritating. Moving all over the place. So, as you should have learned by now, if we create a symmetrical point up here, we can add a point of symmetry. Symmetry. Do the same again. Symmetry. And the same again. Symmetry. So this is nice because if we look now, we've got a freedom of motion completely around it. The other thing as well is we could I'd like to have these radii all the same. So let's just go you, and you equal. Okay, so we've now got that. Now let's just put a dimension on one of these and let's say 15. Let's just get a nice number in there. And we could choose which way, so let's bring this in a little bit down here, and then let's line them up. I mean, I could put a restriction on that to line them up. I'm not going to for this. It's a good start. It's a good start. So now let's move towards. I mean, really, as well. You look here. Bring that down a little bit more, something like that. it's looking a little bit more like what I'm after. So now let's go to, we've now got our profile. I actually want to be able to create my starting pads, because this torso now is really in the way. Nothing more than that. So I'm going to go sketches, I'm going to go curves and split line. If anybody's interested, we have used these techniques quite a bit to generate some of the exoskeleton things that we've been doing. These techniques work really well for things like that. So what I'm doing is selected the whole thing, and I've split the torso itself to give me that. You'll notice as well, oh, it's not. Oh, I've gone a single. So I've split that particular area, and I now want to separate all this out. You can systematically select every single surface one by one and delete them out, or there is a quicker way of doing it. So I'm going to go offset surface. I'm actually going to offset it by 0, because really I'm making a copy of that surface. There, 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 there. All them split points, I'm going to create a 0 offset system, and then click OK. Now you'll notice if you look into the bodies above, if we go to solids here, you'll go trunk, and we go right. Oh my god, yeah, there is lots here. So I'm going to delete the body, and I'm also going to delete this body as well, and click OK. This now leaves us with something we can work with. This is quite good. We like this. Very good, very good. Now, you'll notice though, you look at these profiles, you kind of go, wow, that's all over the place. No one would buy anything that was so lumpy and looked a bit crap. I totally agree, no one would. So what we're going to do is we're going to tidy up these areas, and then we're going to recreate our panels in a bit more of a smoother interaction. So what I'm going to do now is go to 3D Sketch, and I'm going to go to point to point to point, and then click OK. You see there that it's actually created that profile. It stops the bowing as much. So what I'm going to do now is do the same thing up here. But what I actually want to do, I want a smooth surface between here and here. So I'm going to go again, point to point, and I'll connect them points up there. And I'm going to repeat the same thing again. I'm going to go point to point to point. And what it does is it prioritizes these particular areas for what we want to do, which is pretty great really. It's what we're after. So this type of profile here, I suspect it's going to be a spline. So I'm going to go point to point, bring this all the way across. And you look there, it's actually brought it right out. That's not really what we're after. We want a bit more of a concentric profile. We don't, I mean, we want to tidy this up, but we don't want to lose what we've done. We lose what we've done, you kind of go, well, it's waste of our valuable time. I'm not too happy with that. It's lost too much of profile there. So what I'm going to attempt to do is come back in again, come to here, and I'm going to build that profile in. Then I'm going to come back to here, that to here, and build that profile in. And that captures a little bit more what I'm after. Because, again, it's a lumpy profile that we have from the dummy. But, again, we don't want to lose too much. Because this stuff is valuable. So where the abdomen is, I don't mind with that, because the intention of this is it will be some type of plating, and we will need to make modifications anyway. So you put a foam in, or you put some type of resistance material in there. So I'm not too fussed with that one. We could go that extra mile to tidy that up even more. Because, I mean, by now you should be really seeing, in essence, what I'm doing is I'm tracing that profile. And I'm trying to tidy up around it. and all these lumps and bumps, I want to make them a little bit more, well, a bit better really, a bit more appealing to what we're trying to do. So again, I can bring it back here, and then I'll move over to here. Now, if you're ever unsure, is it going to be symmetrical to what I'm wanting to do? Check out your other points. You check out your other points, and you'll notice that you've got a key marker as to where your points need to be. So what I mean is, if I look at that point and then look across at this point, I can see that I'm still on that same track. And because I'm using the edging from this torso to just help guide where I'm going, it lets me know that I'm in the right ballpark, if you will. You know, here I tried a spline, wasn't happy with the spline, and here move that to there. Right. So I mean, arguably, I can probably hear some of you right now saying, well, could you not convert some of the entities? You could convert the entities, absolutely. Doing a mirror of a 3D sketch is very, very tricky and not recommended. What I'm going to do first is, I've got this profile now, I've got something to start operating to. So what I'm going to do is go back up to the top, find my profile like it is, right click on it, and I'm going to delete that body. So I delete that body out, and now I've got this new profile to start operating to. I can now really decide how I want it to be. If I want a bowed area here, dead straightforward, dead easy to do, because I've got this as a profile to start operating to. So what I'll do is I'm going to add in a plane. I should point out, by the way, that this is totally improvised. I have not actually prepared these nodes, so we're doing this from scratch. So if I hit any awkward spots as we're going through, I am just doing it just to show you that this profile, this method I should say, does work incredibly well. So I've got myself a bow. Now this is where boundary comes into its own, boundary surface. It's phenomenal as a tool, absolutely excellent as a tool, and if you don't use it, then you're mad really, because this tool is extremely useful for being able to create very, very complex surfaces. Right, so I'm going to come back out, and we've now got, dare I say, we've now got our first profile that we can start looking at. And what I'm talking about here is the lower point. So the lower point of this profile is across there. Right, so now this type of bow, if you look at the original thing, this type of bow is going to build it to this area. I think this one's a bit wider than the one we're doing, but we're just, as I said, this is everything is improvised from scratch. So what I'm going to do is go surface, going to go boundary, I'm going to right click selection manager and select my first profile, then right click selection manager, I'm going to select my second profile, and then that should give me a nice flow, which it does. Now we want that contour, we want that to at least start to follow the torso track. So I'm going to select on my, whoops, that's oh no, that's right. That's the wrong one. There we go. So we come back in here, and then let's build the other side up. Then like that. And what we've got now is we've got that profile track. So if I come, just bring that out and let's just take a look at it. A little bit thin. I'd like to pop it out a little bit, just to give it a bit more depth to it, because I do think that there would be more profile needed for something like this. So I'm going to again go into my sketch and sketch, come in, and I'm going to add the 3-point arc. So my 3-point arc's in, and again, right, I'm going to press Control, select my endpoint, select my target, and I'm going to pierce. I'm going to do the same thing again. So press Control, select my target, select my point, and pierce. This now gives it that extra depth, that profile for it to follow. So I'm going to come back out. Sorry, best coffee in the world, swear to God. Right, so come back onto here, and what I'll do is come back onto boundary. Again, this tool is phenomenal for what it can do. So I'm going to select. Whoops, that was me messing it up. So come back, right click. And I'm going to bring in each profile. And we look now, what we've got is we've got that pop, if you will. It's brought it out, it's popped it out, and it's got a little bit more profile to it. Now you'll notice I'm not considering thickness, because at the minute, thickness is absolutely irrelevant to what I want to do. Now I'm happy with that, so I'm actually, shockingly, I'm going to ignore that now, because I'm happy with it. It's doing what I want it to do. Next thing is we've got the pec area. Now if I fill this, in fact let's fill it and take a look at it, because I suspect this won't come out very good at all. So let's fill it. What we'll do is I'm going to go fill surface, I'm going to right click, I'm going to select here. Oh yeah, yes, that's worked well. I think that'd be really good. That's so crap, it's crazy. Right, what I'd like to do is I think I'd like to just follow this line and try and do away with what will be quite a dramatic curve there. So what I think I'll do is, first things first, I'm going to come onto my right and I'm going to sketch Control and 8, Control and 8. Get myself all mixed up here. Where am I going? There we go. Right, so I'm going to come back in, and for starters, I'm just going to put in a 3-point arc. I am in favour of the 3-point arc. I do like it. If I have to, then, you know, there's many times we have to. I will use the spline. It just depends what the weapon of choice is to serve what I'm trying to do. You'll notice I'm just going through the piercing process. And now you see here, when we fill this, what we'll actually get is we'll get a flow here, but we'll get a bowing effect here. So a bowing and then come into there. So what I really need to do now is look at creating strands. Another one to here, then to here, and then building it up that way. I think that, or I can go strand to here, just to keep that profile. So I'll show you what I mean. If I go, let's have a look. What's the best way we're going to do this? I could come across here, select this as a profile, this is another profile, use these as guide points and that as another profile to pop out what we're looking at. So let's try that. We'll right click, selection manager, I'll bring there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. That becomes my first profile. Right click again, selection manager, second profile. If this happens, by the way, right click, flip, connectors, and then selection manager, in again, here, 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 and here. And then we get this profile coming in. So I'm going to right click again. Well, now I'm onto my guide points. So I'm going to selection manager, you, and you. Bring that into there. And then right click again, selection manager, that. And I'm building on the former point for that. But what you'll see is we're getting this very, very dodgy, whoops. Hit that when that happens. What you'll see is we're getting this very, very dodgy effect here. It's very, very vicious across. Now with it, you could argue, guide point, another guide point. So let's try that. Based on my initial profile where I had from my plane here, I'm going to turn that on, and what I'll do is I'm just going to add, I think I'll just add another plane into there, sort of a plane, and then we'll just, and I want it to actually be located on my key point, so I'll click onto it, and that gives me that key point location. I'm going to sketch and sketch. Now I'm going to try and control the whole flow between the two. So what I'll do is select here, and I'll move right across to here, and then with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and combine this by creating a relationship of tangency. Oh, now with it, puts me in an awkward spot. So really, I could do spline there, there, and there, and then I could say point, target, pierce. Then that'll bring in that profile. You notice it's gone black just because it's locked itself in, and that's done what I needed it to do. I think we're going to need another line than that. I think we're going to need one over here as well. So just for safety, well, you know what I mean. Just for a bit of added security on this, what I'll do is I'll come across there as well, and I'm going to repeat that same profile, and I'm going to sketch, do a spline from there to there to there. Now, the beauty is with the spline in these types of instances, it's your best friend. It really is, because now it'll just say, okay, then what do you want me to do? So I'll go point, line, just be awkward, that'd be great. Oh, it's doing that really well. I was going to make it coincident. Select point, line, and nothing that I'm after. Brilliant. So let's try that again. Point, line. It is not piercing no matter what I do to that. Points, often a pierce won't occur if there is no point for it to pierce. There we go. Pierce. Nailed it. Right. So we've now got this profile coming up that way, so let's go again. And I'm just going to turn off my planes just because you can end up in a position where you've got 20 million planes and you're looking thinking, I have no idea what's going on right now. I'm just confused. Right, so I'm going to go sketch, profile. Again, doing the same thing. Right click, selection manager. I'm going to use you, and you as a profile. Repeat that process again on the other side. So I've got you, and you. And that creates it for, oh, I was going all over the place then. And that creates that effect, as we know. What we're after now is something to really push it down to get it as we want it to be. So I've selected my collarbone, as I was saying before. And oh, look at that. Missed something already. Missed the center point. This one. So now let's just make sure it's moving as we want it to. It is for that. Then we're going to move on back, move to there. And then let's try and bring this in and bring this in. Looking a bit more like it. I mean, let's just bring it back out, let's take a look. Now, often judging it, you can kind of look and go, yeah, I think. Interestingly, there is one profile set here that I'm still not happy with. You may be able to see it. See that? Still not keeping up with that profile. Not good, so let's delete that. You'll get used to this, by the way. Lots of deleting. Makes you smile every day. It really doesn't. So back on. God bless e-cigarettes.
So I'm going to come back on, and what I'm going to do here, wait, there we go. Let me just get myself muddled up correctly. There we go. Right. So what I'm going to do here now is I want to add it actually to that point. My profile for spinning this, by the way, is a design modeler. If you have a design modeler mouse, oh, they're amazing. Take a long time to get used to, but once you get used to them, they are phenomenal. If you've got one, well done. They're amazing little bits of kit. Let's bring it into, why are we not locating there? Let me just bring that home. That's me with my mouse button. There we go. I was wondering why that wasn't locating then, because it just didn't seem to want to locate. And then onto that point there, and then select. Right, so now what I want is that point, this profile, to become best friends. And there we go. So we got that extra profile in there. Let's get onto here. I'm going to turn off my planes because they're irritating me. During the whole profile of doing this, you will always find yourself getting annoyed with so many planes appearing, but that tool's a great one. Turn them on, turn them off. Get rid of them when you don't need them, or else they become a massive distraction. And to be fair, they do actually confuse things. If you end up with lots and lots of planes on there. Once planes become obsolete, I would always say turn them off, because designing something with no dimension, no specific profile, no identifier as to how something's going to work can be one of the most difficult things that you'll be asked to do, and I will be asking you to do that. So keep that in mind as you're going through. So I'm now onto here. Let's bring these profiles back in. So selection onto there, onto there, onto there, onto there, and then we bring that in. Right click, selection manager, onto profile, come on you swine, there you go. Again, right click again, selection manager, to profile, again, right click again, selection manager, onto profile. Yes, nearly there. So bring that back, let's take a look at it. It's better, it's still got that bowing effect. I mean, a solve from that would be to actually create something further there, and actually and just put another line down there. That's a simple solve on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to close this off. So you'll notice I've lost one of my important profiles. I'm going to turn that back on because I need my lower profile. And you'll notice here that we've got our line, and I'm actually going to try and do something naughty. I'm going to try and use this edge as a key point profile to create the rest of my body profile. So let's do that. Let's go boundary. You can see that I like to use boundary. I do like to use boundary, and if you don't, then you're clearly mad, because it's the best tool in the world ever. Right click onto here again, selection onto here, and then we click OK. So we've got that initial profile there. We're going to guide these in by using our key point areas. Again, key point area. Again, my key point area. So these are the key point drawings that we'd essentially put in there. Then we click OK. And now we've got a particular profile that we can start looking at a little bit more. Arguably, this edge here. Wanted to avoid this edge, but it is there. So let's move on to the next phase with this. Let's knit them together, because I need these to be seen as one component. So we knit them together. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and see if I can thicken it outright. This will let me know if there is something I'm missing. So profile, something unidentifying, something a little bit frustrating. So let's thicken. And we'll go 1mm. And we've got that initial profile, so let's just try that. Are you going to let me in? You are going to let me in. You beauty. Based on these types of padding, that is not 1mm. It's
Let's go something a bit bigger. $5 mil. 5 mil's quite chunky. Yeah, I didn't think it'd be happy with 5 mil. I'll see if I can do a mid-range offset. Do that by 2.5. It's to do with when faces are displacing. When faces are displacing, you'll see that these are coming apart. Now it's because it's seeing a separate face to separate face. And when you do it, it kind of goes, I'm not comfortable with that. So if you do get to that stage, and it's very easy to get to that stage, what you've often got to do is go back to the, well, not go back to the drawing board, but you've got to select your profiles, put a difference on it, and see if that will allow you. If it comes back with compliance, which is very common, if I click OK, so it's to, I'm guessing it's to do with these particular areas here, or it could be here. Look there, we've got a Bowen effect. See that there? That could be easily what's causing this problem. So let's just take that out. As I said, this is completely improvised, so I have not hit this problem yet. Let's bring it to there, let's just... Okay, so my next thought is where the curve is. Curves in CAD systems are not happy. Never been happy. Okay, so let's go you. But you look here, see where we got these points here? That tells me that down here there is a point there. That's an interesting one. This will be to do with when it was originally cut. So when I'd done the offset originally, that's what that's to do with. But the other thing to keep in mind is when you have an offset, it actually offsets in all plane directions. So what we would need to do is get this offset and then go back to it. And let me go back to this. Let me see if I can bring in the neck. Bringing the neck would be quite useful, saves us some time. So what we got to do is we now got to study where this is going wrong. So let's go offset, U to U. Whoops, not that. So we'll go offset, we'll go U to U. I'm curious now as to where it's gone, where it's dying. That's where. Look at them profiles there, they're just out. So I wonder if a knit will solve this by merging the elements together. A little bit closer. It's still very much all over the place though. I'm not convinced this is the best way to go about it. We're going to revisit that. I'm not convinced that's the best way to go about it. So I'm going to generate here and here, and I'm going to delete them out completely. And what I think I'm going to try and do as well is clean up these areas. So I'm going to delete and fill tangent faces. See how that gets on. Actually not bad. Actually not bad at all. And then let's see if we can do the same thing down here and here. Much better. So you see what I'm essentially doing is I'm using the SolidWorks tools, which will look at the tangent areas that it's connected to and try and recreate that profile as fluid as possible You look here, we've ended up with that torso, well, the pectoral point. Not convinced that's the best way, so I'm going to come back, I'm going to edit, and I'm going to remove them 2 points out. Because if I leave that one in, what this will do, if you look, so let's just watch, click OK, OK. See how it pops it out? Now we've still got these lumps. Now these lumps are coming because it's seeing that area. You know, this point that I wasn't happy with, this point, it's seeing that point. So what I'll do is I'll remove that. I'm going to do the same on this side. Whoops, that went wrong. Don't want that, not that. That. And let's just delete them and fill them. And then let's do the same thing again. Because what this will do is this will aid in the process of... Come on, give me what I'm after. Get it? Yes. This will aid in that process that we're after to create a nice, smooth thickening process. This top area here, I do question whether we should really even have that in. We'll leave that for the minute and let's just see how well this works on thickening. Still not happy with something? Ah, I see here. Look at that split point there. Still there. Swine. Oh, that is a real bummer. It's still there. Okay, so let's just try thicken this area. Oh, it's still there. Yeah, it's just not happy with that lower point there. Now I'm trying to merge the results. Still not happy with that offset. Because interestingly, if I lower that, it will work. But it defeats the object of exactly what we're trying to do. So let's do an offset. It's there, look at that. See, these are minimized, but you look at that relationship there. That is what some would say is a relationship. Oh, look at that. So he's still going to come back with an error. So we've got some error points here, but it is starting to create what we're after. Okay, so let's come back. And I may lower that and just make it to 2.5 millimeters, which is still relatively thin, really. Click OK. I suspect that's not happy. There's lots of this that is not happy. So click OK, bring them back. So you see there, we've ended up with that. So, I mean, to be fair, it is getting there. Now, the issue was, if you remember, we couldn't make it solid. So, let's just try and see if we can get some solidarity out of this. So I'm going to right click, selection manager, go profile, my closed loop, click on there, click OK. And then I'm going to right click, selection manager, again, another profile into there. Arguably, a lot of people say, well, can you not just use filled surface? You could use filled surface, but I just love boundary way too much. We've got an error recorded. There, you look there. See how we got them points. When it's extruded, it's when it's offset. It actually offsets just outside of the original profile. So let's use tools to our advantage here. So if I go on sketch, and then I'm going to spin that round. And what I'll do is I'm going to go selection profile, And I'm going to go selection on here. Can I just... Yep. Oh, come on, let me select open loop. I'm going to select the open loop. 3, 2, 1. Oh, come on. Takes forever for selection. It really does. Oh, I didn't want that, you swine. Let's try that again. In fact, I don't even know why I'm looking for the profile. We did this, didn't we? We did it on here. Show that sketch. Show that bad boy. Right, so we got that. Then because we've got that, why don't we just take the profile from here? Seems like a good idea to me. Now, anybody who's done sketching, trimming, you'll know that trimming is a very temperamental process. It'll kind of go, nope, not working, don't like you, don't talk to me, hate you. However, if you treat it, if you treat it just right, it should really do a great job for you. So, I've got a single profile. I'm just going to hide that sketch again. And then what I want to do is I want something to trim. So I'm going to go surface, I'm going to go trim. And what I'm actually interested in here is standard trim from my sketch. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Right. So what it's doing is it's identifying key points where the whole thing has over extruded itself. When we did that, when we did the offset, that's what this has done. So when we've offset that surface, it's protruded itself that extra bit. So we're going to remove them areas. So I've removed selection, click OK. And now that's tidied these edges back up. I'm going to try again with my boundary. I'm going to right click on my loop. OK. Oh, look at that, found an error. Something is still not happy. Oh, hang on. Have I missed that on my trim? Edit. No, look at that. I didn't miss that on my trim. It's just when it's offset, it's actually not offset them particular points. So I'm going to have to try and fill that in. I have to try and build that surface back up, which, to be fair, sounds a lot more harder than what it is. So I'm going to go right click, selection manager, I'm going to go to my points, this point here, right click here, and this point here, click onto there. Oh, and you'll see there we've got this bowing. I'm going to right click, flip my connectors, and get them two onto there like that. I'll hold that, and then what I want to try and do is merge the entities. So I'm going to there to there, and merge the entities. And then you'll know it's gone black. So that builds that area up. So again, boundary, right click, selection manager, and let's see if let's try that one. Still not happy. Okay. Then let's go around this a different way. Right click. And I'm going to go... I think I'm just going to do profiles. So I'll do lower profile. Like that. Manager. Lower profile here. Like that. Flip my connectors. It's my fault really. Look at that, there is something it doesn't like there. Probably me. Ha! So unable to create profile. Please select input curves. Damn it. Okay. So let's just try something else. So I'm going to try lofting it. Right click profile. So I'm going to go U. Just going to see if these areas will build first. Get used to the greatness that is. So you see that area does build. I'm going to build that profile, and then I'm probably going to do the same on the other side. Profile, clear, profile, to profile, and then I need to close this off. So I'm going to. Well, I'll see if I can do a filled surface on that. Click. Shit, not that one. So I'm going to go profile to profile, bring in my curves onto here, there, and also section manager to there, like that, and then okay. So we look there, we're now looking at a little bit more healthy. It's looking a bit more like what we're after. Right, so I'm now going to go, I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to go right click selection manager, I'm going to go U to U to U. I'm going to have to manually build these. Now that's coming in because of that bloody profile that I had to add. In essence, I'm just going to try and build this up manually because I want to know what went wrong there, because something went wrong. So it should. Look at that, still got another one there as well. I may be able to just bring this in. There we go. So we've got that profile in like that. And we're still getting an error. Somewhere along this line we're getting an error. That is a Schwein. Okay, so there's something there. Which is a bummer. Okay, so it needs to tell me where this is coming from. Whoops. So let's try this. Makes me wonder, is that profile causing me all these problems? Because I mean, I can get in there and get that fixed, which I suspect I'm going to have to, really. If you get in there and just look. So let's close that. Let's see if we can build that profile in, which is a shame. Well, it's not a shame, it's a hindrance. So I'm going to try and just bring that profile in there. Given them connectors, flip the connectors over, should give me just a brief squared off area. Right. Let's make sure this is merged. Those areas. Right, so we've got that squared off area. So let's give this another roll. I like it. Still an error there somewhere. Only for filling will help. Let's try closing this off with a filling. Okay, so let's. This needs merging, so these need knitting to create a filled surface area. And that's why it selected the upper plating. So now that will give me a lower profile. So if I select open loop on that, it then knows that that is a profile I'm interested in. I don't think it's going to work on that boundary. Yeah, it actually doesn't like that. So let's try that. We're going to try. Just keep trying different things, and in essence, gradually build this up. So let's go U to U. It actually doesn't like anything about what we've done there. Oh, hell, that is not good at all. That may be a total reset, which is a pain in the arse. So let's try this then. So with boundary, it has particular profiles within it. It's one of Dassault's babies is the boundary. I do know Inventor have their own version. I know just because I use Inventor for a lot of my models outside of Uclan. Just because if not, we will get ourselves in trouble to do with licensing, as ever. So we've got to stick by the rules. Okay, so the profiles are beginning to work. So I'm going to right click Selection Manager and bring that right in now. Let's see if we can get everything moving like we want it to. See that? Even not. I mean, what's it going to complain about now? Curves are invalid. Please select again. Curves are invalid. Brilliant! I think I'm actually going to have to delete all of that. There is a couple of different ways we can try. So I'm going to bring this right back to. In fact, I'm going to take it right back to where I created the offset. So is the offset there? The offset isn't there. Good. Right. So now I'm just going to delete that out. And what we're going to do is I'll thicken this by 1 millimeter. So I've just gone back to that smaller thickness. Do need to really look at removing particular more areas. This area here is quite nasty. That can be cut out. That's not a big issue. But if I just start to look at see how this is going to look in genuine, so the genuine article, I'll just make it a bit more of a grey colour. Then what I'll do is I'll drop it to a bit more realism. The upper profiles I'm actually quite happy with. It's got that stomach area through to pec, and it's got that particular area for it, so it allows me to at least be a bit more happy with that. So I'll drop that to removal. And these are quite simple, really. I mean, these, depends how you want to do it. We could simply smooth that out. You could just thicken it. Oh yeah, of course. You could just thicken it, and then you instantly got your panel points there as well. It depends how you want to do it. Well, that does instantly give you points of felt. It gives you body profiles, things like that, and it allows you to extract quickly how somebody's body may move, and it allows you to target particular areas. I mean, I've tried to be relatively quick with this, really, to tidy this up even more. I'd like to really go back to adding further lines onto here to really pop out these, because I'm just not convinced with these areas here. I'd like to add that in, and maybe even experiment with the idea of making this into one bigger profile. The issue that we were having with the thicken profile was coming from the aggressiveness between these relations. Because it didn't see a continuous flow, it was trying, it sees everything as one piece, and then yeah, it sees everything as one piece. What it tries to do is, I have to strip that colour back. And what it tries to do is it tries to see them in individual faces and extrude them as individual faces. So really, I'd really need to go back and add further profiling to it. If anybody's curious as to how I'd ever done the Iron Man helmets or anything like that, some of the stuff that I'd built for Outreach before, this is the profile that I do. This is the process that I use. I've used dummies, and I've used, well, I call them dummies, but I suppose they're ergonomic models. But it allows you to have a target point to extract key profiles from it. We've been working on a brand new skeletal structure that we've been doing recently, and this profile, this method is what we've used to do it. As these three are already on here, we could save that, and then we can insert these as parts again, but delete each one of these to extract the individual profile. We could fold that flat, so we could make it from foam, or this profile, this method you can use for making shin guards. You can use for making OHPs, not OHPs, AFOs, which are ankle foot orthosis. You can use it for making splints. You can use it for any human to component interface, something that gives it that little bit more realism. A lot of people have used this to do prosthesis. So if you have a design of a hand, you can extract the key points in space from that hand, and then you can use them to construct an overall design of what it is that you're doing. These types of things are incredibly useful for things like that. I should warn you, I do intend to put something like this on the assignment for this year. I'd expect a lot more depth put into it in this, just because I wanted to show you a way to get started. This, I think, is a good start for the foundation. We could build on this and build on this and build on this. I mean, granted, perhaps my cross profile here doesn't cover enough of the pectorals as it should. It should perhaps cover more. But it was just to give you an idea of this is a way to do it. I won't lie, the best surface modeler I've seen, personally, from my own experience, the best surface modeler I've seen actually comes from Inventor or Autodesk products. I find Autodesk a very good surface modeler. I'm not saying Dassault's bad, because it's not, but I'm just saying that some of the profiles, so like the issues that we're facing here, I've seen Inventor hold these much better. However, the rigidity and the comfort and the solidarity, the solidness of CATIA does make it the leading edge, and that's what makes it so popular. Anyway, so I hope that has been a good intro to doing things like this. If there are any questions, please get in touch. If there's anything you want to know about this, please get in touch. So email me, find me on Teams. If we're back on site, please come to my office, which is 123 CM 123. If I'm not in there, please come down to EIC 214 and you'll find me in there, and I'm always up to chat about this more. Right, so that's it. If I don't speak to you, I will speak to you all very soon.